Hey, my friends, how are you today? I have a good word to share with you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you might laugh a little. Maybe you'll cry a little. I've cried a lot. So join with me if you feel like it. Please let me know that you're on watching. If you're watching a replay, let me know. And even let me know where you are, because I know that we have people watching all over this country and even friends from around the world. I'd like to send a shout out to Mary in Kenya, and Ghana we have Efua, and I will be talking about some things that are taking place over there in Ghana as well. So I just want to talk to you today about what happens when your landscape changes. And so, what do I mean by that? Well, I want to make sure that you're going to hear this, so I want you to really think. I want you to kind of clear out your brains and be ready to have an open mind here, okay? So, before vacation, we had the power crew come by behind our house, and we line up against the main road. And they had to go behind our house and work on the trees at the power lines. And every 4 years, they have to trim them so that they don't interfere. But no problem. We've been here 7 years, and the first time it was fine, had no issues whatsoever. Well, this time we noticed that they were trimming them a little closer, and so the first section, we're like, whoa, those were really close. Why did you cut them so low? And so I talked to the gentleman, and we were told that the next side, which was a bigger portion of our backyard, they would try to not take as many branches off on the side that faced our backyard, which would continue to allow us to have that privacy that, I mean, who doesn't want the privacy? But we back up to a main road. So we went on our vacation and came home over the weekend, and I came home and they were chopped. Now, these are big, beautiful evergreen trees, and they are just beautiful. Now, the outside of them are green, and they're like gigantic green Christmas trees, and so when it snows, they're like flocked trees with snow. They're absolutely beautiful. We never get snow here where I'm in Georgia, so when we get that once a year dusting, or every once in a while we'll get a decent snow day to play in, it's beautiful. And on the inside, though, it's like brown sprigs that just kind of stick out all over the place like this, coming off of the tree. Well, on most of these now, all of the green is gone. All of it. And so you have these brown, spriggy looking things attached to the base of a tree, just sitting there. One here, another one, another one, another one, with a little bit of green, a spike of green that they left, a little bit of green, and my backyard exposed. And the guys were out there, and I went up to them and I said, I just don't understand. We talked about this. And he said, yeah, and my boss said to go ahead and do it. I said, well, I understand, but as Aiden said, it's like a kindergartner went out there with his little scissors and was just chopping away, not caring. And I said, sir, this is my backyard. You just went into my backyard and cut it up. Not to mention, you took away my space, my privacy. it's like you opened up something, you revealed something that I didn't want opened up. And so I came in the house later on that afternoon. I was leaving to go run to therapy, believe it or not, at the time, and that was a great session. I mean, lots of things were washed out there. Therapy is such a good way to get rid of things, and things you don't even know about that are inside of you, and it's like, where did that come from? This time it was my grandmother that passed away when I was 14 years old, and somehow we got there by the thought of, I was supposed to write all of these things about my mom that said that she loved me. This was how I knew she loved me, these different things. And I put one that said she was there when he wasn't. And it just got me off guard, you know, when I even wrote it, of what it meant. But it led me back to my grandmother, and because I was thinking about some things of what that statement meant, and it took me back to 9 years old. And so she said to me, well, okay, think about something in your life when you were 9 years old. And I immediately connected to this picture I have in my home of me and my grandmother when we celebrated my 9th birthday. And so immediately it came over me, and it was like in my throat. She says, where are you feeling it? And I said, right here. And tears just poured out of me. And so you don't know where things are going to come from, and it just hits you out of nowhere. So I had some good cleansing yesterday already, and then I came home from that later, and I see this mess, and it just hit me. And I came in the house and I began to cry. And I looked at Aiden and I said, I know what you're thinking. Why are you crying about the trees? And I said, you know what, Aiden? It's not the trees. It's what the trees represent. And of course, he still has no idea what I'm talking about. But I said, it's in your psyche. Those trees represent a landscape in my life. They were part of my landscape. And it got moved. Something else changed. Out of my control. Something else was taken away. Another wound, if that makes sense. And this pain came forth like I can't get away from it. Like I can't move. I mean, you think how silly, move because they took your trees down. I don't want to be exposed raw like that to the world, although I'm being raw to the world to you. But I don't want the world looking in on us in that kind of way. And this was our private little back corner, and they have now opened us up. And I started to think about how it connects, you know, when the landscape of our life changes, when you face a loss of any kind. I just went to a funeral today. My former, well, he's not my former. My father-in-law, my daughter's grandfather. Well, his brother's wife passed away, and she had been fighting dementia for, I guess it started roughly 10 years ago, maybe, but the last 6 months have been really, really bad on Rick. So we went to that funeral today, and it's just a look at, you know, another change for somebody's life. But even as I was sitting there, with all of the family, I was looking across the pews and looking at all the people. I didn't see my ex-husband there because unfortunately he got lost in drugs a long time ago, which is why I'm still involved in their lives, and that was the way to keep my daughters involved with the family. I continue to have that relationship because of his behavior. I was not going to punish my children, and I wasn't going to punish his family because of his choices. And they have been the best people to me. They truly are my family. I am part of their family, and they remind me of it all the time. But as I looked, I said, you know, something's wrong here. I'm looking down this pew and I'm seeing all these gray-headed people. And I'm looking at those two girls, those two beautiful little children. And now I'm seeing these gorgeous grown women. The landscape changed. Life happened. And then I recognized mortality, my own. In fact, it's made me think so much more about the value of life. And I told my in-laws that today. I just cried, and I said, I don't take any moments for granted anymore, because based on age and things like that, you just don't know when it'll be the last. And they shook their head. They fully understand where I was coming from. And I guess it's just because I've gotten to that age. I've watched both my parents go, my sister untimely, you know, and just understanding that it's a part of life. And I'm in that phase where grandchildren are wonderful, but then you have to also see the other side to things. So, you know, just seeing that landscape changing. And, you know, I have been asking you guys to be praying for our family, that we were walking through something, and I feel it safe to say now. But my daughter Ashley, she's the one that y'all have been praying for specifically. But she's been going through a divorce, and it'll be final in about a month. And so for more than a year now, you know, lives have been turned upside down. And it has been extremely difficult to watch my daughter go through that, and to watch her walk through some of the same things that I did, and experiences that I had to face, and heartache that almost like the same things. And I grieved with her. I grieved with her. All of this at the same time, losing my mom. So much was happening last fall. But the Lord carried us through. The Lord carried us through. But y'all keep praying for her, because so much is happening in her life. She's got 2 little boys, 5 and 3. And they have an older brother, and he's 11, that's also affected. And of course that breaks our heart for him, and we hope we'll get to continue to have a relationship with him, because he's our grandson too. But that pain is hard. It's the change of landscape. It's part of life. You know, I've walked through it. The Lord has given me a wonderful new home with my husband now, and we were able to have a son, and, you know, just I'm thankful for the family that I have now, the way the Lord has worked things out. He knew things I didn't know. You know, He sees things we don't see, and we have to trust Him. But it's hard to trust Him in the midst of it. You know, I wish sometimes that, you know, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were in that fire. They stood against King Nebuchadnezzar, and they knew exactly what was going to happen to them. They knew they were going to have to go through that, but they knew that their Lord was going to be with them. And sure enough, He was, and He saved them. Daniel, thrown into the lion's den, he rejected what the king was saying because he knew he had to stand for his Lord and Savior. He knew it was wrong, and he followed his God. You know, sometimes it's hard because we don't know what's going to happen, and we can't see into the future, but God has. God has, and we can trust Him, but it's hard when we're in it. We've got another daughter, Andrea, and that landscape has been changing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for years. But it's also changed the landscape for her children. And as of recently, there's domestic violence going on, and I had to just face the reality just a couple days ago that we could have gotten a very, very hard phone call. But the Lord saved her life. The Lord spared her. The Lord didn't allow the children to get hurt. But the reality of these things, and only the Lord can protect her and these kids. And I'm just grateful to know that He did. But we think about all these things, that the trees in our life that get removed, the marriage, the job, the diagnosis of your health, and how everything just changes. This word came on me yesterday. The Lord made me realize that the Lord is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I was going to share it, but I got backed up with work. I was trying to get things done because I knew I had to get out of town early this morning for the service. And I woke to see a prayer request in our group. And it was from Efua in Ghana, my friend there. And she was asking for prayer because there's flooding in her country. So I gave her a call today and spoke to her at length to figure out what was going on exactly. And she has left her home because flooding is up to the window height at the time she left. And she's with her daughter. But there I am concerned about trees. And her house is facing a loss. This affects livelihood. This affects life. There have been people that have lost their lives because of this flooding. And I will ask you to pray for Efua, for her people, for her country, that the rains would cease, that their homes would be protected, and that the lives would be spared. And that as they walk through this, that God would just be there to comfort them. We never understand why God has us walk through these things, right? His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. But we can trust Him. He is our great provider. Jehovah Jireh. He is our source. He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He's the common thread. No matter how our landscape will change, His doesn't. His doesn't. And we can find peace knowing that. And no matter if it's a tree or if it is a flood and a loss of your home, they equally matter to God, because your heart is where you're affected. And God loves all of us, and our hearts and the pain we feel matter to Him. So whatever landscape is changed in your life, know that it matters to God. Know that He is there. He will always be there. He will provide for you. He will care for you. And He will get you through to the next landscape. And it's usually better than the first one in some way. God's going to take you through that change, and He's going to help you get to the next one. Isn't that silly? Thinking about trees and getting so upset about trees, but then the Lord can bring such a great word from it. I'm thankful the Lord is opening up things for me so I can truly hear Him and be able to share that word back with you. So just wanted to tell that to you today. I love you. Bye.